Hey, today I'm going to be drawing my life, or rather, my journey in the Sustainable Venture course in Jönköping University. The task was simple, to come up with a sustainable venture idea along with a prototype with my groupmates. Our group was assigned with tackling social issues in Asia. Well, obviously we didn't know what to do, so we turned to scrolling through YouTube to look for inspiration. During the process, we stumbled across a video on YouTube showing a graphic clip of how a plastic straw was being forcefully pulled out of a turtle's nostril. Blood oozed out from the wound as the turtle shrieked in pain. Ouch! Instantly, images of my recent trip to the Philippines, more specifically the Manila Bay, struck my mind. Think of a beautiful coastal area, families basking in the warmth of the sun, children frolicking in the waters against the industrialized backdrop of the Philippines. The only thing amiss was the filthy grey waters, littered with heaps of plastic waste, from bottles to plastic bags to food packaging. Currently, the production of plastics follows a linear model in the resource cycle, where raw materials such as oil, gas, and fossil fuels are extracted from the earth and processed to form plastics. Given its non-biodegradable nature, it is almost impossible for the plastics to go back to the earth in the form of nutrients or other sorts, such that it benefits the biodiversity. This brings about the cradle-to-grave implications of plastics, with its business model of take, make, use, dispose, literally bringing an end to the survival of the marine diversity. While the government has made several attempts to clean up the bay, efforts were futile as the Manila Bay quickly became filled with plastics and waste again, creating a vicious cycle of pollution. Immediately, we saw a pressing issue that needed to be addressed: pollution, climate change, biodiversity loss, one that has potential to affect the survival of the future generations. A developing nation as it is, the Philippine governments are taking necessary steps to strengthen the basic social foundation of the country. However, the same could not be said for its care towards the environment. Given that the social and planetary boundaries are interdependent based on the donut framework, there is also a need to ensure that environmental ceiling is also being upheld, such that it provides a safe and just space for humanity to thrive in. Our venture hopes to break this cycle of endless plastic pollution by creating a new material to replace plastics. The first thing that came to our minds was seaweed, which was commonly found along coastal regions including Manila Bay in Philippines. We aim to target at small, medium-sized local businesses in the Philippines within the dried food F&B industry, selling a range of dried food such as rice, coffee powder, and kale chips. For our prototype, it was impossible to obtain the raw material itself, seaweed, from Manila Bay due to geographical restrictions. Nonetheless, we had a groupmate who coincidentally visited a coastal city in Europe during the semester and obtained a sample of seaweed from its shores, cleaned and dried it. One of our groupmates had a family-run engineering company with a suitable heavy-duty compressor machines, which we fed our seaweed sample into. While the initial prototype was a thick, hard and fragile sample of compressed seaweed, we compressed the sample approximately 7 times to obtain the final prototype, a thin, malleable and extremely compressed sheet of seaweed material that we propose to replace plastic packaging. The unique value proposition of this seaweed material would be that it is 100% biodegradable, and its use of renewable raw materials follows a cyclical model. The packaging made out of seaweed will have a shelf life of 2 years, and if the locals continue their poor environmental practices, the seaweed will eventually biodegrade and its compost will serve as nutrients for the biodiversity surrounding the bay. Going back to the donut framework by Raworth, the production of seaweed material would be beneficial to the Philippines' environmental ceiling, slowing down climate change, reducing pollution, and prolonging the lives of the biodiversity. On top of that, the harvesting of the seaweed itself could potentially create jobs for the inhabitants and fishermen, bringing in income for their families and further strengthening the social foundation of the country's economy. Herein, this new material could potentially help the Philippines move towards the safe and just space for humanity and could even expand beyond the country. Before the festival, we had multiple consultations with different mentors during the Lean Up mentoring session. With each mentoring session came a differing opinion, viewpoint and criticisms of our venture. Multiple revisions to our lean canvas and our final model made our group slightly demoralized. Nonetheless, we pushed on and continued to work with our prototype until we were successful in creating a prototype that we were satisfied with. During the festival, we pitched our venture to many people, with an overwhelming response, and there were many people who were very impressed with our venture idea. Professors who initially seemed skeptical were eventually convinced and even encouraged us to develop our product beyond this course, and we received many support and a gleaming thumbs up from many of our peers. The festival has taught me that teamwork and resilience is extremely important in ensuring the success of the project. I am very thankful to our group mates who made efforts to realize our vision for the project, from collecting the seaweed to even offering their families equipment for us to make the physical prototype. Of course, the most nerve-wracking part of this project will be standing in front of a crowd with a microphone in one hand, delivering a 2-minute business pitch. While preparing for the pitch, I sought for online materials on how to deliver a convincing elevator pitch, and this process has taught me how to become a more independent learner. If I were to develop another sustainable venture, I would focus on setting up a social entrepreneurship that would change the mindsets of Filipinos in the way they view good environmental practices. I hope to employ the innovative use of my venture to pursue opportunities to catalyze social change and address social needs. The venture will be one to create awareness about the implications of mindlessly throwing the plastic packaging away. These are issues that affect intergenerational equity. If given the question during an interview of what I could bring to the company's sustainability efforts, I would say that I have a keen eye in identifying areas that could have impact on the environment. I can come up with creative and unique ideas to revolutionize the way, and in particular, I feel strongly towards the food and beverage sector. I feel that this industry has endless potential to revamp their product development and focus on sustainable new product development. This is done by adding an additional criterion of sustainability in each stage of process. This industry faces challenges to food system resilience, such as climate change, and I feel that based on the ideas that I came up with during the course of the seminar and in this reflection, I could offer creative ways to integrate the product and process designs. This course has helped me to develop a keen eye in identifying environmental hazards. Take, for example, during my bus journey back to Sweden just last week, I boarded a ferry crossing the oceans from Denmark to Sweden. At the deck of the large ferry, I saw an immense amount of smoke emissions from the ferry, and it struck a chord with me. And I do hope that someday I could join companies alike to target at such hazards and come up with sustainability and inclusion issues in their company. Because of this, I strongly believe that by making small changes in the way companies conduct their service or businesses to accommodate sustainability practices, by, for example, using biofuel or changing the combustion processes, we can take baby steps in creating a better and safe and just space for humanity. Hence, I am better prepared to work with such issues and ready to take on with an open heart. The Hippo Roller project made a deep impact on me, as I was amazed at how an invention so simple an idea could make such a big difference in the society. I would define a social innovation as a venture that targets at pertinent issues in the society. It does not have to be a problem, but rather it can serve to better the lives and make the livelihood easier for the people and community. I would define a sustainable venture as one that not only serves to meet the needs of people and does not compromise the ability of future generations to meet their own needs, but also strive to create a closed-loop economic system where the venture would ideally encourage the reuse of goods and recycling of materials. Apart from the environmental aspect, it would also be best if the sustainable venture could serve a dual role in enhancing the social foundations, such as creating jobs or improve disparities in income and equality. All these factors would work towards achieving a safe and just space for humanity, the ideal goal of a successful and sustainable venture. Acting as a sustainable entrepreneur through the course activities, I have learned that it takes more than a good venture idea to develop a business model. In the process, many variables need to be considered, such as what kind of problems the venture aims to solve, the customer segments we want to target, our unique value proposition, and unfair advantage that distinguishes ourselves from other ventures alike. At the same time, while considering these elements of the lean canvas, the ideation stage requires us to stay lean and avoid waste as much as possible. The first draft of the lean canvas would not be the same one as the finalized one, and the process involves a lot of refinement, eliminating uncertainty, working smarter, and in order to develop a minimum viable product. We need to keep asking ourselves simple questions using the 5 whys technique to address other problems along the way and help us become clear-headed of our purpose and direction of the project. I learned that making changes in society starts from the individual. If each and every individual of our society makes a conscious effort to change their lifestyles and incorporate sustainable elements in it, for example, eliminating the use of plastic straws, bringing their own grocery bags, or consume environmentally friendly products and adopt recycling habits, it can bring about a huge change to the society and the environment. The butterfly effect. It is only with such mindsets of the general public, only then social and sustainable ventures can work hand in hand to create a better and more sustainable environment. After a semester in this course, I found myself to have changed my leadership style. I relate more towards the post-conventional environmental leadership style, and in particular of that of the frequency of the individualist. This is because I tend to come up with relatively creative environmental solutions and try my best to integrate environmental consciousness and awareness in my venture ideas. In my first assignment, I relate towards the conventional leadership style of that of the expert manager. However, I changed my environmental leadership style preference after taking this course, as I realized that I have an eye for integrating environmental solutions into organizational objectives and procedures. At the same time, coming up with creative environmental solutions, such as the seaweed material in my group project. I believe that I have become more participative towards discussions in environmental issues, and I'm able to see the broader purpose of sustainable development and how social and planetary boundaries can be so interdependent with each other.